Hope all goes well.
Yeah, welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2026, Hilda. And before going to start your session, I want to introduce you to our audience.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, Hilda is a confidence, identity, and authentic self expression coach who helps high achieving women break the hidden patterns that keep them overlooked, undervalued, and disconnected from their authentic voice. Drawing on coaching, identity work, and brain based transformation principles, she supports women in building self trust, confidence, visibility, and recognition without burnout or self sacrifice.
I hear noises. What is going on?
Sorry?
I hear back noises. I don't know what it is. I hear as
Oh,
if somebody else talking too.
no, it's
Yeah. Okay.
everything clear from our end.
Sorry about it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was a great bio, Hilda, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here today. So I'm not going to start by introducing myself again. I think you did the introduction. I'm going to start by asking you where it lives. I'm talking about the feeling. It's the one that shows up in the meeting where someone repeats an idea 10 minutes after you have said it. And this time, the room nods. The room looks at it as something brilliant. And it shows up when the promotion goes to someone louder, when you have held everything together again and nobody noticed because you made it look very easy again. That feeling has an address in your body. Most of the women I work with, it lives right here under the collarbone. And it's caught in your throat. It's half swallowed like a sentence you never got to finish. And underneath it, there's a question. Not the polished version they would raise in a leadership workshop. It's the 3 a.m. version. When do I get to stop proving it? And if you know that feeling, if your hand almost went to your own collarbone just now, please type the word me in the chat right now. So I'm sure that a lot of women feel that way because every single me that I will be seeing here is a woman who has once been told she just needs more confidence. And in the next 20 minutes, I want to show you why the diagnosis was wrong. So my name is Hilda, as you know already, and I'm an identity and self-expression coach, but my path here is unusual. For more than 12 years, I worked as a graphologist. Professionally, for over a decade, I spent years looking at the trace that the person leaves on a page and reading everything they never said out loud, how they think, where they hold back, what they protect, which strengths they hide even more from themselves. And there is what 12 years of that teaches you. People do not reveal themselves in what they announce. They reveal themselves in their patterns, the unconscious repeated ones that run underneath the personality they present. And today I read those same patterns in high achieving women when they speak, decide, apologize, over deliver, and disappear in plain sight. Same lens turned towards the brain that builds identity. Because here is what I've noticed about the woman in the room, like this one. You're intelligent, capable, you're the one everyone depends on. You have the receipts, the results, the rescued projects, the grateful colleagues, and still, quietly, privately, many of you feel overlooked, invisible in a way that's hard to admit, because on paper, you're doing everything right. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the real question is not why don't I have more confidence? You can speak up. You are the woman who drafts the email 4 times and then softens it before sending it. The real question is, the more uncomfortable and the more accurate one is this: why am I still not seen? In spite of everything that I do right, why am I still not seen? And I want to offer you an answer that has nothing to do with trying harder. Because here is a paradox I see over and over. And I'd like to pay attention to this. The higher you climb, the better you get at hiding the very thing that would actually set you free. So this brings me to the, please, next slide, please. This brings me to the good girl pattern. I start with it because I know this pattern from inside. Because I lived it long before I could name it. It was a good girl. I was a good girl, responsible, helpful, reliable, always there for everyone. But on the inside, increasingly disconnected from myself. I knew exactly what everyone around me needed. I had almost no idea what I needed. And I remember one moment that stayed with me for years. I was studying interior design, and I had spent months working toward the final project. And it was most important to me, the assignment of the year. And the deadline was just around the corner. And then I get a phone call from my family who didn't live next to me. And because my family was always my priority, I immediately say, they were telling me, we are all coming to visit you during the holiday. It was a Easter holiday. And I was so genuinely excited to see them because I love them and miss them. But inside, automatically I said, of course I would love to him to come. But, there was another voice saying, this isn't the right time. I really need these days to finish my project. And I wanted to say, could we plan another weekend? But the words never came out. Instead, I smiled and I said, of course, I would love to see you. And while they were visiting, I couldn't give them my full attention because I was worried. I was worried about my project, and I couldn't give my project my full attention because I felt guilty. By saying nothing, I actually disappointed everyone, including myself. I think it's not the right slide. Next slide. Including myself, because I handed the project, again, another slide, please. I handed the project that wasn't really the work that I knew I was capable of. And afterwards, I wasn't angry with my family, I was angry with myself. Because once again, I had swallowed my own voice. What I understand now is this: nobody was silencing me. The silencing was automatic. And it was on autopilot. A pattern learned so early and we heard so often that it ran without my permission. And that is true for almost every woman that I have coached. Next slide, that's slide 6, please. So let me show you what I see underneath the surface of a capable, accomplished, unseen women. There are actually 3 patterns that I mainly, run the show. And these patterns all learned young, all brilliant, and at the time they were all came to protect us. All running, but today they're all running our visibility. And one thing about the brain first. A child's brain has one job above all others: keep me safe, keep me loved, keep me belonging. Whatever behavior achieved that got it wired in, and repeated it until it became automatic. Not personality. It's a safety tragedy. Sorry, a safety strategy. That's my English. Rehearse 10,000 times until it started to feel like it's just who I am. Next slide. The pleaser, please. The pleaser. Next one. No, that's the one before. That's not the right one. The pleaser, please. The one before. Okay. The first one, the first pattern that you can see is the pleaser. And the pleaser learned that being agreeable kept her safe. So today she overadapts, she avoids conflicts, even when the conflict matters, and shrinks her own needs to keep everyone else comfortable. And it shows in a meeting, she's the one saying, whatever works for everyone, whatever works for the team, while holding an opinion that would have saved the team 3 weeks. The second one is the performer. And the performer learned that being perfect, please go to the next slide. The performer learned, next slide, please. Next slide, please. The performer, she learned that being perfect earned approval. So today she overworks, never feels done, and ties her worth to constant achievement. The cruel twist, the more flawless she delivers, the more invisible her effort becomes, because excellence performed constantly reads as nothing special to everyone watching. Next slide, please. The quiet one. The third one is the quiet one. And she learned that speaking up created conflict or risk. So today, she stays silent in meetings, holds back good ideas, sometimes the best ideas in the room, and then watches someone else say her thought out loud 20 minutes later to applause. So if you heard about these 3 patterns, I would like you to think, which of those 3, that which one do you think is really the one that you can resonate with? Is it the pleaser? If it's a pleaser, please type 1, number 1. If it's a performer, type 2. And if it's the quiet one, please type 3 in the chat. I don't see people on the chat. So I will just go on. And yes, you're allowed to type all 3 if you need to. So I would like to tell you, it's not who you truly are. It is not who you learn. It is actually who you learn to become. So hear this perfectly and precisely, because it's the center of everything that I'm talking today. The pleaser, the performer, and the quiet one. It's not who you truly are. It is who you learn to become. And there is a difference between identity and your adaptation. And most of us have been polishing the adaptation for so long that we have mistaken it for the self. And everything in life has a cost. Slide 10, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. So let's see what the patterns cost you. The patterns are not free. They were the price of safety once. Now they are just the price. They cost you opportunities, the voice held back, compounding over a career the way interest compounds on a debt. They cost you years, staying too long in jobs that you don't feel comfortable doing anymore, roles, relationships that don't work for you because you burn out. The quiet resentment that the good girls don't say out loud. And the deepest cost you slowly stop fully knowing yourself. You become so fluent in what everyone needs from you that your own preference starts to feel like a foreign language. This is what I felt when I gave my example. I just felt, it was like a pattern that was running me. I spoke automatically. I didn't even think what I was going to say. But that was actually the start of what brought my change later on in life. Even success stopped feeling safe. Every achievement raises the bar, and every win becomes the new minimum. The pattern doesn't celebrate, it just recalibrates. Next slide, please. So now some of you are thinking, I know all this, I've read it in the books, done the courses, practiced the power poses. So why hasn't it stuck? And here is why. And it's not a character flaw, it is neurology. Behavior changes, identity doesn't, until it does. Your nervous system doesn't care about your career goals. It cares about the familiar. Because for your brain, familiar is filed under safe. Even when familiar is exhausting you, you can learn a new behavior on Monday, and by Thursday, under pressure, your brain quietly hands you back the old one. Not because you're weak, because the old one has 30 years head start. And this is why confidence tips don't work on identity patterns. You cannot out-technique a pattern that your brain believes is keeping you alive. You have to change the pattern it's protecting. The identity underneath, there should be alignment between the two. And when the identity shifts, the behavior stops requiring willpower at all. Next slide, please. Which brings us to visibility. And here is the reframe I want you to take home. Visibility isn't about doing more, and it's not a performance or personal branding strategy. It's a byproduct of an internal shift. When the identity changes, people see you differently because you're showing up as someone different. Not louder, but truer. Next slide, please. So when we speak about shifts, we can notice that there are 4 shifts, each moving you from an outside reference point to an inside one. So the shift number 1 is from seeking approval to trusting your own reading. You have spent decades reading rooms with extraordinary accuracy. The shift is trusting what you read before checking whether everyone agrees. Trust yourself. Second one, from performing competence to expressing truth. Because competence proves, but truth reveals. People are not moved by flawless. They are moved by what is real. And when something is real, people feel it. The third shift is from making yourself smaller to taking up the space that you need. Not more than you need, not less. Watch how often you compress in emails, in chairs, in sentences that begin with the word sorry. So the last shift, the fourth one, is from waiting to be recognized to recognizing yourself first. And this is the deepest one. Recognition from others cannot land in a place you have vacated. You must be home to receive it. And one practice to begin today, small on purpose, because your nervous system trusts very small things, small changes. Once a day, say the first version, not the fourth draft, and not the softened edited one. One sentence a day. delivered the way you actually thought it, in the most authentic way, the one that you feel aligned with. And this way you are teaching your brain, one repetition at a time, that your unedited voice is safe. And that is how identity changes, not in breakthroughs, but in repetitions. And I would like you to remember 3 things. You are not broken. A pattern is not a defect. It's evidence that a younger you was smart enough to survive. And you're not behind either. Everyone you're comparing yourself to is running her own visible pattern. You have simply seen yourself now. And it's not too late. The brain that wires those patterns is in the same brain that can wire it new ones again. And what has been learned can be unlearned. And it never loses the ability to do so. Next slide, please. The next one, I think this one we missed already. One practice begin every day. That's the one I said. And you say it. The real confidence is trusting yourself enough to stop abandoning yourself. Because in the end, real confidence is not volume and it's not posture. Real confidence is trusting yourself enough to stop abandoning yourself. And remember where we started? That feeling right there, almost caught in your throat, just behind your collarbone. That was never anxiety. That was a sentence, your sentence. And it has been waiting there patiently for years. So this week, say this sentence. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I really hope that it opened up something and you change how you think, how you see yourself after listening to those 3 patterns. Thank you. And now I would love to hear from you if you have any questions. Feel free to ask me. So I see a question here. So I see that the question that what's the biggest mindset shift that a woman needs? So the first of all, you have to, that I said there are 4 shifts. First of all, you have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Once you trust yourself and you give yourself the space, then everything changes for you, because you don't speak anymore with you don't really care what other people say. You don't need the external validation. You've got the internal validation. And when both things align, that's the truth. And then when you speak the truth, people feel it and people believe it. So you just have to gather your strength and be patient and do one thing at a time. As I said, every day you get one win, you add another win, one thing that you were able to do. Just even scribble it down, journal it, write it down and read it. At the end of the week, you will have 6 or 7 wins. That will strengthen your inner confidence. And then this will create the shift in itself. Once you start believing in yourself, the shift will happen and people will feel it without you even noticing. And what happens when you change, your environment change. You don't have to do much. Once you decide, I can see it in myself, when I've decided that I was aware after what happened in my holiday that I said to my parents, come, though I wanted to say it's not the right time. It started, it created awareness in me. And I said, why am I keeping doing this? I have to do something to change it. It did take me time. And then once I started, and that was the time I decided to do the coaching, because I felt that I need something to strengthen my internal, to make my own shift. And it gave me clarity that when I change, everything changes. And I could see it with my husband. In the beginning, it was difficult for him. He said, oh, you've changed. And I said, finally, thanks God, finally I've changed. And then it was difficult in the beginning for him, but slowly, I could see the change in him too. So when you start believing in yourself, and when you do the change for yourself and without needing the validation of other people, because you know what you have to do. You have it all. It's just the patterns are running there. It's not really you. The real you is still there. Nothing has changed. And if you get that understanding, once you understand it, then the change can come. Now, you say the fear of judgment. I see another question. How can women overcome fear of judgment? Once you start believing in yourself, you don't care about how the people, because you have to understand one thing. What other people think, it's their issue. It's not yours. Our issue is to say our mind, to speak our truth. Once you say your truth, you feel free. You don't feel there is no conflict inside you, because when you feel something inside and you say something else to please everyone else, it creates an inside conflict, and this conflict builds one layer and another layer and another layer, and then you just find yourself. I spoke the other day with a young boy, and he was the quiet one, and I just tried to make a conversation. What is stopping you from saying it? And I tried. In coaching, you keep on asking questions to get to the real problem. They don't say it immediately in the first time when you ask them. And he got to understand what was really stopping him. And you won't believe the change. The next day he called me, and he was already implying things which I told him. And he said he feels so much different that he was able to do it. Because once you understand the pattern cannot rule you anymore. It cannot govern you anymore. And it's not, you want to, whether you want or not, the shift is starting to happen. And you have to be patient. Sometimes you need some help, some support. Anyone needs support, I'm always here to support you if you need me. You've got all my resources there. But you need to have someone to hold you accountable. And accountability is very important, because the things that what you came to be today didn't happen in one day. And also the change cannot happen in one day. It's something that you have to build. You have to build every day. Every time you have one win and another win and another win, that strengthens you. And then you don't really care about how people see you. And you don't care. The fear is coming to protect you, but you don't let the fear control you. These are two different things. Fear is something good in its essence, because that's the way that the brain, the mechanism, came to protect us. Otherwise, we could struggle, and we could be like the hunter and the animal. If we didn't have fear, we would not run away from it. But the moment that you can control, the fear, you tell it, I see you, I feel you, but I know I can do it. Once you do it in spite of your fear, then nothing can stop you. And I've seen it when I walked on fire. I never thought I would be able to walk on fire. And it's all, you train your mind. It's your mind has to be trained. And this happens with persistence, with doing it again and again and again. But affirmations alone are not enough, because that's a time when, after a while, you lose it. And then people go, in spite of the things that they know what they should do, they go back to the normal. Because as I said, the brain likes familiar. And sometimes they don't mind to stay stuck as long as they don't have to face the unfamiliar. So it's all up to you. Once you understand it, then the shift comes. And then you don't really care about other people, what they say. It's their issue, not yours. Remember this all the time.
Yeah.
I hope I
Thank you, Hilda. That was an amazing presentation, and you have chosen a great topic. And thank you so much for answering all the questions in the chat box. And
anyone have more questions, they can mail me, they can this, or they can, I can help anyone who needs help.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.